I'm writing this because everyone stopped listening. God spoke. He never changed. He's still speaking today. Everything lining up with what he has already spoken through Jesus. We stopped listening. We wanted an altar we could see, an image that was tangible, just like the Israelites in the desert. So we listen and follow prophets, pastors, authors, and sermons until we are full for the moment and we never come to be one with him. Why wasn't he enough? Why do you think you can take in the meat and throw out the bones? The word says, if anyone preaches any other gospel, let that man be accursed. My family has turned on me because I come against things they hold dear. People hate me because I'm trying to call them out of their darkness. They are supposed to know better. People that proclaim his name. Why isn't your greatest conviction to not give false testimony of who he is? Why did you start changing his word to make what you are doing or the prophets fit into it? The banner you had all along on your heart, the American flag, this great nation that has never harmed you, but you are afraid it will? And that flag turned into another flag of a man that you held so dearly on your heart. Why else would you wave it for the world to see? Don't you care for the little eyes and ears around you watching? Watching all your words of false prophecies and false hopes not coming to pass? Do you care if they can't seem to find God because you misrepresented him? When did you begin to think that God was looking on the outward appearance of a strong arm to fight his battles? Did you forget about the young shepherd boy that defeated the giant? Did you forget that God hates the proud and is looking for the humble? And yet you continue to defend the prophets and change your story up just a little at a time, that hopefully nobody notices, or maybe you don't even notice yourself. This life was never about us. You don't have to continue to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You can eat from the tree of life now. You can stop living under the curse and live under the covenant where there is no shame. There is no discerning for yourself what is right and wrong. He has showed us the way. So you can let go of the pride and self-preservation, your own dignity. It's not one of the fruits of the Spirit. You can admit that you were wrong to listen and repeat words that God never spoke. Wrong to put hope in a man, in a nation, in a government. You see, that government will change every 4 to 8 years, and so that story will change for you. But if you stand on him, your story will never change. He is the way, the life, and the truth. No one, not one, can compare or stand in comparison to him. No country, no president, no religion, no government. My family were ones that I once thought were the ones that were Christian, the ones I go to because they knew the answer. Until I seen him for who he truly is, then I could see clearly. And it's not because I think he only speaks to me, as I am accused of. No, it is because you forgot he has already spoken, and yet you keep looking elsewhere for his words. He will never give up on you. Don't give up on him and look for your help in the White House. Let down being offended. It's the only way to follow him. Do you love mother or brother or sister or spouse or yourself more? Then we are unworthy to be called his disciples. When they insulted him, he did not insult back. He held no offense, and he was perfect. Who do we think we are when we are offended? This is all an easy fix if we would let go of ourselves and our false teachings and doctrines we may have followed for years. Who cares if we were wrong, if we can make it right today? Because today is what we have because of his mercy. So that you and I can get up and run this race with him to the finish line, being his workers for his harvest because it's needed. It's needed so desperately. People are dying. But we can't continue to live under a false gospel. It is because of that that we are here today. That gospel that says God came to bless us. The gospel that says we are always going to sin and never be perfect. The gospel that brings no freedom but keeps us in the very place that he came to set us free from. How could you preach to others a God that can deliver from sin while you remain in yours? Why would others have hope to be set free from addiction when your sin is just different than theirs? Do you not think people see the hypocrisy? The kingdom of heaven is not words but power, a power that restored the very nature you were always made to be. not so that you could have two natures simultaneously. Then you might as well leave others and their sin alone. It was never about a prayer to get to heaven. Where in the Word of God do you see that? It is a life change because of the power of God, one that breathed breath into your lungs out of the dust. How could He not make a new creation out of you? Clothed in His righteousness, free from sin because you are one with Him. Not a righteousness of your own, but a freedom in His. Those that are free indeed. He did not come so that you would always be a sinner. That is not humility. Then He would have come needlessly. Don't trample on His grace that enables you to live this life that He has given you. Once you see it, you will never again fix your hope on anything else. You will never again excuse sin and evil in His name, all for the purpose of someone you anguished over to be your president. And you lifted that man's banners high. Why? Why did you forget that it's all summed up in love? Love that you didn't see in that man. Love that you didn't have yourself. How could you care more about the laws of this land and the economy of this land that you forgot to love? You forgot that He so loved you, and it was impossible for you to love others. It was impossible for you to see that He alone is provider. The story never changes when you stand on Him. His economy can never be shaken. You forgot that His laws surpass any laws this land could have. And the greatest is love. Without it, we are nothing. His banner can never be rivaled. You try election after election to get your laws passed, to get your man in that seat. And why? What are you looking for? To get others to live by the law that you couldn't even keep yourselves? Remember what He told the religious people of that day. You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven, for you yourselves do not enter, nor let those who are trying to enter in. It is the good news that will set people free. His goodness leads others to repentance. But if you keep doing this, you keep preaching and hearing messages that are not the truth, how could you ever go out and be who He called you to be? His son, His daughter, the ones that look like His Son, going out to all the world making disciples, teaching only what He taught. But you will never see it if you don't see Him. Because if you see Him, you will see the Father, and you will know exactly who He is and who you were always made to be. Then and only then can you bring this good news to the world, not just by your prayers and your words, but by your life, the one that lives inside of you, the one that is waiting for the world to turn to Him so that He can heal them, so that you don't have to push laws that you or others are incapable of keeping. It is His love that will allow all to be able to obey His commandments. But it is all summed up in love. You and others cannot love until you see His love. We love because He first loved us. And that love drives out all fear. Fear of socialism, fear of what our kids and grandkids will grow up in, fear of this world crumbling. Because we are part of a great kingdom, one that has come to us on earth as it is in heaven. I would rather this whole earth be torn in pieces if I could have my children see God for who He truly is. They could see His face and know His name. You have been mad at me for probably these past 4 years. And I can say I have been mad at times and sad most times, because I love my family. I want us all to rise to the occasion of being His disciple, of walking out who He truly is, of letting go of all religion and becoming godly, a true city on a hill, a light on a lampstand, that shows the world that God isn't a hypocrite. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever, so that people will see Him and turn to Him instead of away from Him. There is no evil in the world that can stand in comparison to God, who overcame the devil and all his works and overcame this world. So there is nothing to fear. The only thing to fear is to have lived a lie and to stand before God with all our pride and our confessions and works and not truly know Him or be known by Him. The world is watching our hearts. They are watching if we truly believe or not. They are watching the flags we hang and the people we follow and support. They are asking questions, many fed up with religion that claims a loving God but raises its banner high in its support of hate in the name of getting God's job done, bullying and the silence heard very loudly to the children being torn from their families. I only imagine how God must have felt when his people were being murdered by the Nazis. Many that thought they were doing God's work. So many people. Do you really believe that was God's will? That he put that man in power? That he is really concerned about the men we have in power? As if our power meant anything to him? Our ways are not his. It is all foolishness to him. Where was Jesus' concern for his own people who were under Roman rule, captured? What do you see in him? What do you see in his apostles? This is who we are called to be and do. Know the truth so that it can set us free. Don't you know his nation is a people, not a country? Don't you know that his will is that he wishes none to perish? That he came to save the world from sin and death? Not so that we can hold on to the world and store for ourselves treasures, because where our treasure is, our heart will also be. Not so that we can be prosperous and have more stuff. Why? How can you believe for that stuff and all the blessings he can give you, but you fail to believe in his power to deliver you from sin so that you will go and sin no more, so that you would be holy as he is holy? If you want to know about Solomon, the richest man, well, God told him to ask him for one thing, and Solomon asked for wisdom so that he could lead God's people. Do you see where his heart was, his motive? Or how about all the things you keep storing for the end times? Joseph, do you remember Joseph was preparing for the famine for everyone, not just for his home? What about the Israelites in the desert? God said, don't take more to store for later, because every morning he was going to provide again. But those that didn't trust in his provision and probably called it wisdom kept extra just in case, and that extra rotted. We know a lot of things because of a lot of books we read, or church attendances, or for thinking we have been serving the Lord for many, many years, but we have no understanding. And God said, it doesn't matter if today you turn from him. He doesn't remember all the good you did. Just like if today you turn to him, he will not remember all the bad you did. And at any moment, that could change again. That is why those who endure to the end shall be saved. Job and Job's friends had this problem. Job thought it was his righteousness that could save him out of all the trouble he was enduring. And Job's friends thought that Job must have done something wrong for God to do this to him. So they too thought that their own righteousness was their saving right hand. And God corrected them both. It is his saving right hand. Like all creation, the birds of the air, the hippo, they don't rely on their own strength. They didn't make themselves, and they surely cannot save themselves. They know where to find shade, where and when to eat, and who made them. Out of all creation, we are the only ones made after his image. So when we let go of ourselves, we can be reborn again to live as one with him, eating of this tree of life to live forever, without a sin conscience, totally free indeed.